Hey guys, welcome to the info session from the theFirehoseProject. I'm Marco, I'm one of the co-mentors, and today you can see strange lights blinding in my face, a little light here, weird background wall. I'm actually on the road, I'm in Germany right now. Maybe that's why I'm not shaven, but I really wanted to do the info session with you guys tonight and run you through our curriculum, show you what's up. So what are we gonna do today? So first of all, usually I like to jump in and give you a little bit more information about the details of our core curriculum. How does it work? What kind of web applications are you guys building? What do you do when you go through kind of the first 8 weeks in our program? And then I also want to talk about one of the core things of our program, the mentorship sessions. How do they work? What's happening in the mentorship sessions? How you guys should use the mentorship sessions and to take the most advantage out of every single hour that you have coding together with your mentor. And then I also want to answer the simple questions that I get to hear a lot, which is like, what are the skills that I really take out of the Firehose project when I participate in your program? Obviously, at the end, ask me any questions, right? You have a box right below me here. Type in questions and I'll go through them. A few of you guys already emailed me some, so I'm going to go ahead and answer those the best I can. But let's jump in and go a little bit through our core curriculum and also talk about how we tailor and customize our curriculum to match your actual goal. So first up, right? Everything we do here at the Firehose Project serves the single purpose of looking good. We're building real web applications that you're proud to share with your family and friends, right? What does that mean? It means that we're aiming for this scenario. You're at the party, you pull out your phone, you show your friends, hey, look, this is what I built last night. And they should say nothing else but, oh, wow, you built this? Whoa, this is nice. And that's what we're aiming for. So everything we do is like mobile first and responsive design. So that looks good on your phone, good on a tablet, good on your desktop. That's really important to us. We don't like building apps that kind of like no one can use or they don't really do something spectacular, right? So we're doing that. Now, what are we gonna build? So first 10 hours with us, right? You're gonna come in and we're gonna give you a 360 roundhouse view of all the pro tools that, well, the web developers in the real world are using, right? So you need to have your text editor. We use Sublime. You need to get familiar with version control in Git, GitHub. You need to write Ruby code. You need to get familiar with the database, Rails. You need to push up to a server. You need to push something live, right? Why are we doing this in the first 10 hours? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. If you're a web developer, one of the best feelings is to push something live on the internet. And by doing that early on and making you build something that your friends can use, that you can share, you're gonna get feedback from people like, hey, can I have an upvote button? Can I make this, share this on Twitter? Hey, can I log in with Facebook here? Those are all really valuable things because that's direct user feedback. And that's what you want as a startup, as a developer. You want to hear what should do next? How do people use my application? What's working, what is not? And then even though maybe after 10 hours, you're not quite in that driving seat where you can actually go through and implement those changes, make those improvements or add additional features to your application, you still feel really empowered and see how it works in the real world when you get good user feedback on how to implement that. And just to zoom out, right? If we're thinking about startups and tech companies, what sets the best startups apart from the not so good ones, the one that succeed? That's listening to user feedback and implementing that feedback as fast as possible to consistently improve their product and make it better and better and better. And that's what we want to do. So what are you going to build in this first 10 hours? We call it an advice splitting generator. Something pretty simple. People can add something to a database. It gets pulled off the database. A little bit of styling up front so it looks good on mobile, you know, tablet, desktop, the usual thing. And your friends can see funny quotes. So what have students built? It was like one of our students just last week, he's from Colorado, I think outside of Denver, so he likes hiking a lot. So he built something like, you know, you're in the backcountry when, and it was something about toilet paper and rocks, whatever. We don't need to go into those details. But that's an app that he built, right? And all his friends now, wow, this is so cool. And they started adding quotes to it. So that's the first 10 hours, 360 roundhouse of all the tools that you use and push something live, right? So after the first 10 hours are over, we're gonna keep it up one step, right? One thing that's really important to us is keeping your learning curve steep. And so the next thing we're gonna do is we build a Yelp clone. So a Yelp clone, I think the best feature you get out of that is integrating with the Google Maps API, right? So basically what that means, we write the code. So if the user comes to our application, types in a place, My Johnny Pizza place, Main Street 1 in New York City, we want that address to be translated into latitude and longitude, write that code for that, then pass those latitude, longitude coordinates to our API, so actually we get that pin on the map. And that's how we integrate with Google Maps API. Obviously, it'd be a pretty lame web application if it only would do that. So we need to add additional features, right? So we do, yeah, you can add places like your restaurants and get it on the map, but you also can use your comments and star ratings, right? So people want to comment on it, on the individual places. Hey, that steak was awesome there. Hey, that chicken was really good. And then you also want to do, like, have notifications, so automated email notifications. If, for example, I have Marco's Awesome Pizza Place, and somebody gives me a comment or rating, I want to get a notification that says, hey, somebody just said something about your restaurant. You may want to check this out. So why don't you go back to your platform, right, and get the users back on your platform. Obviously, user authentication, login, log out, registration is pretty big, so we obviously include that too. Add a few fancy front-end features to it so it looks good. And we have a pretty neat application. That takes you about 4 weeks, right? And in those 4 weeks, I get to the mentor sessions in a bit, but already your mentor will challenge you and will say, hey, make this application your own, right? We say make it about pizza places, but come on, be a bit more creative and already make this something that maybe you could use, maybe your friends could use. What could you put on a map, right? So one of our students over in San Francisco, they used that and they mapped out all the CrossFit places in San Francisco, best gyms for CrossFit, people who really into that sport. Another student used it to track all the horse race tracks in the US. Apparently there's no good listing for that, right? So his friends are using that all the time. When they find a new one that they really like, they go there and they discuss that on that platform that he built. So it's really powerful for him to see actually users and have traffic coming in and more people starting using that platform. So that's really cool for him. So that's the first 4 weeks with us, right? You built your first application and you built your Yelp clone. And now we're moving up one notch higher. And what we're building now is a platform. And that's an online learning platform. And when I say platform, it's like there's multiple sides involved now, right? Obviously you have users, but there's like students, and then there's instructors. So let's say I'm an instructor and today I feel adventurous. Maybe it's because of my beard. So I'm saying, I want to show you how to throw a knife. All right, so now I'm going to make a video lecture on how to throw a knife and I upload it to the platform. Well, then there's students coming in on the other side and they can purchase my video lessons. But maybe I make another one about shooting an arrow, bow and arrow, something like that, or how to sharpen a knife, right? I make another lesson. And now you can quickly see how this becomes really complicated because we need to track, okay, instructors on one side and students on the other. Which students actually purchased which instruction? Can they see the first free intro lesson or can they access all of the lessons? And then also, I kind of gave it away by saying purchase. We also integrate with another API, the Stripe API, to accept credit card payments. Because obviously it's like, okay, there needs to be a paywall, right? You guys want to make money and accept money, so we're making that possible. So those are kind of the deep database relationship, the database structures that we're teaching you during that application, building that platform out, combined with accepting credit cards and accepting payments and figuring out how the instructors and the students are matched to the courses and who gets what money and how much do you get as the platform owner. Those are all really interesting questions to solve with code, and they power actually a lot of web applications out there. And as obviously we need to pack this into a good user interface, and for that purpose we actually go deep into JavaScript and give you a solid foundation how to build a better user interface using JavaScript that's a little bit more intuitive than always, like, you know, when we do page reloads. We do that for the instructor side. Don't want to explain too much about it, but it's basically resort your lessons and your sections when you're building a course, and that makes it a lot better to use for instructors. And we do teach that JavaScript section to you at that point because we always want you to learn code and apply it immediately to a real feature that you're going to build. And that's one thing that you see when you go through the Firehouse Project program. You also always going to see, like, hey, everything I learn is applied immediately. And that's because we believe you learn coding best by actually coding and writing code, and then getting the theoretical and the foundational understanding while you're actually writing code. And we have plenty of materials there for you, so you get the big picture process. So those are first 8 weeks with us. And then it really depends. Throughout that, I already said, like, your mentors are going to customize the curriculum. But at that point, it kind of splits off into two separate parts. If you're an entrepreneur and your goal is to come in, hey, I really want to see my web application live on the internet, you're going into one kind of track. You build that web application, your own idea out, and you launch it, right? So you take what you learned in the first 8 weeks and you apply it to your own idea. Now, if you want to launch a job, land a job after the Firehose program, you know, as a junior web developer, being part of a technical web development team, you're going to be in a different track. And usually what we do there, rather than supporting you building and launching your own web application, we're going to put you on a group project. Now, what does that mean, group project? It means you're going to be put together with other students in the program and a technical lead, another senior web developer, and obviously your mentors are part of that as well. And we want you to build a web application together as a team. Now, why are we doing that? Because this is how it's done in the real world. And we want to give you that real world experience from day one. So that means you're going to build a real web application that serves a real purpose and helps some people, just like you would do on day one in the job. And you're not going to build that by yourself. You're going to build that as part of a team. And you know, the best products out there, the best software out there is always built in a team effort. So you knowing how to collaboratively code up individual features, how to split the features up, how to review somebody else's code, how to have your code reviewed, how to improve it after you review, have all that communication going on and learn how to do that. That's really important for you when you start going for job interviews, because the technical hiring manager can see precisely what kind of code you wrote, how you reacted to feedback, what a team player you are, and they know, okay, on day one, that person can work in my team, versus somebody else who doesn't have that group project experience is probably like, I don't know, we got to train them a little bit more. So that's something that's key, the group project, for all the job seekers, and we put students on that. And usually people come up with really great applications out there. For example, one thing that 4 students are building right now that is about to be launched is our technical interview training platform. So think about it. You guys are all going to go, if you're looking for a job, through a technical interview where senior web developers will test your technical coding ability by doing whiteboarding exercises, by asking you to build algorithms on the fly to sort certain lists in a database. That platform will actually guide you through, and our students are building them right now, guiding you through how to, like, okay, this is a question out about database structures. This is a question about algorithms. Here's hint 1, 2, 3. And oh, yeah, here's the solution, how you should have solved that, right? And now you're just thinking about going into a technical interview, having built that platform, how that changes actually the whole atmosphere in that interview. It's like, oh yeah, you want to put me on the whiteboard? Well, I have 100 students going through the application that I built that trains them for technical interviews. But sure, go ahead. Let's figure out how good I'm actually at the whiteboard, right? You can see how powerful that is. So that's why we do the group project, right? It's the real world. You get wireframes, you get drawing sketches of the application that you build, and you're also going to go and get the product specification document, just like the real world, and you need to figure out how to break it down. Obviously, you have help from your mentors and your technical lead into individual coding features, and then you're off building that and trying to launch it as fast as possible. So now that was the core curriculum, and then the path for the entrepreneurs, building and launching their web application, and the path for the job seekers. Now let's go into how do mentorship sessions work, and in more general terms, how do you guys support me, right? So going through the program, what we're doing is, I always like to start at the very bottom, the first thing you need to do, and that's our Q&A support forum. That is, you're coding on Thursday night, you're going through our guides, and you're like, oh, I'm just working on my user authentication, right? That login page, it just doesn't work. Something is wrong, right? So you go through the training that we provide you, how to troubleshoot and how you fix your own errors. But at one point, let's be honest, we all get stuck and we need some help. So we have a forum where you can go in and ask for help. And then within several hours, you actually get a solution to your problem. And if you can't figure it out, we have a discussion with you, or you go straight into your GitHub profile where you backed up all your code, and we figure out exactly what's wrong, and we tell you, hey, line 15, you forgot a comma there, put that there, restart your server, you should be all good. And that's really important, even though it's a Q&A forum, whatever, have that all over. Now, it's really important because through that forum, we can get rid of all your error messages. So when you arrive, a mentorship session with me or the other mentors, you clear of error messages. We don't need to spend 15 minutes troubleshooting, hey, comma here, typo there. We can go straight in and build a new feature on your application that you care about or that we know is important for you down the line to reach your goal. Be it if you want to launch your own app, right, and you say, hey, what I really need is like some real-time JavaScript updates on a map, right? Like something needs to move here. Then we look into WebSockets and figure out how we can make that real-time updates work, and we teach you that in it. Or if you're like on a job seeker track, right, we go like, okay, today it's all about algorithms. Here's how you write them. Or today it's all about database structures. And here's how they work. Or here's how we do write SQL queries so you can actually run some analytics on your objects in your database. So those are all things that we do in our mentorship sessions, and that's what keeps it really flexible. Your mentor will see, this is the goal where you need to go, and here's the best steps of how to get there. And we add additional modules to your core curriculum to get you to that step, to your goal, to reach that goal. And obviously we also do like, things like prepare you for the technical interview. We do that intensively. I mean, if you build a platform, we probably run you through our own platform that our students are building right now, but we also quiz you on the whiteboard extensively, so you're ready for that technical interview. Now, if you're on an entrepreneurial path, right, these are two paths. And we usually do a lot of user experience, because oftentimes it's like, how do I actually get feedback from my users? How can I make the user experience better? And how can I make it so people actually come and want to sign up for my application once I launch it? There's a lot of nuances to that. So oftentimes we're like, okay, you don't care about technical interview processes. So we use mentorship sessions for the entrepreneurs for like, hey, how to make this actually a better product so it's better for users to use, and they come back to you, and that's what you need, how to incorporate that constant feedback so you can improve. Right, now the last question that I said I'll answer for you guys is, what skills can I actually expect out of the Firehose Project program? I think that's a pretty simple one. In a short sentence, it is like, after you're done with our program, you are going to be able to come up with an idea and be like, oh, that's interesting. I think there's a real need for this. This is a problem. I think I can fix this. Sit down for a weekend or a couple of days and hammer out a quick application and actually test if that solves a problem and that helps people. That's the goal. That's where we want you to get, and that's where we're pushing all of our students. Now, those are kind of the core questions that I said. So again, if you have questions, put them right below me in the box, or email me. I'll check in a moment. Kind of about 2 minutes ahead of you guys with this Google Hangout stuff. So feel free to add them now and I'll catch them later. Here's a few questions that I usually get. Hey, Marco, can you tell me a little bit about, how does it work? How long is it? And that's a great question. So the whole program is 12 weeks long. Time commitment is, we say at least 15 hours per week. So you can do that totally part-time next to your job if you currently have one. Or you can also crank that up, right? So there's some students that we're having in the program right now that are putting in about 15, 20 hours, but there's others that put like a solid 40 plus hours per week into it. And those are mostly people who are actually looking for a job, right? They're going like, hey, I don't have a job right now. I really want to find one. This is a career switch for me, and they put in a lot more hours. And that's great. You're going to race through the core curriculum a lot faster, and then we can challenge you a lot more and train you more, maybe be it on database structures or algorithms, right? And we can also work with you a lot more doing group projects. So you can build multiple group projects, which is really interesting, because if you think about it, the first group projects you're in, and this is real world, it mirrors the real world like really well. It's like you're going to be put on as kind of like somebody who's like, okay, I just got a lot of foundations, right? And we're throwing you in the deep end because you're working with other students who are like have a lot more knowledge with you. And now you got to figure out, okay, this is an application already built. It's already live, and we're making improvements to that. But which features am I going to pick out to build, and how do I communicate with the other people who are smarter, and how do I react to their critique of my code? And on the other side, once you have that done and you launch that application, you might be the team lead on an application, because you might be working together with people who are just coming on. That's their first team project. And then it's interesting, like, how do you react with that? How do you look at their code, and how do you actually make suggestions and write code to make their feature, their code that they wrote better? So that's really key, doing that. So those people, yeah, as I said, like usually around 40 hours, we say 25 plus. That's kind of the thing. Seems like to be the good borderline for, or the minimum amount of hours you should put in if you want to look for, if your goal is to reach a job. And then about 15 hours per week is the minimum. So just gotta check on some questions. Oh, another question that I usually get asked is about what kind of technologies, right? So this is Ruby on Rails, right? We focus a lot at Ruby, and the Rails is Ruby, the programming language, Rails is the framework. And then we obviously, as I said, we do JavaScript. So you're getting solid foundation into JavaScript to build a better user interface. Then we obviously need a database. So we do Postgres. You need to do version control with Git. We back up your code using GitHub. And then we do code collaboration, especially together with your mentor, and then also together with the group project using GitHub. We use Heroku as our server. And I think that covers it about. We use Twitter Bootstrap, but we do a lot of HTML and CSS3, obviously, to make things look good. Again, online, on mobile, desktop, and tablet. Another thing is like, Marco, what about pricing? I can talk about that quickly too, because people ask that. Currently, we charge $4,500 for the full 12 weeks, and with different payment options that we pay up front. It's $4,000. We actually give you $500 off because that's easier for us to process everything. We don't need to remind you all the time. Then there's different monthly payments, so you can pay 3 monthly installments. You can pay 5 monthly installments, $900 a month for 5 months, right? So those are the payment options we have right now. And then yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So let me quickly jump in and see if I have some questions here from you guys. Quickly check that, so give me a moment. Coming back. All right, see if I have them. Okay, and on there, check it. No, guys, you got to put the questions right below if you have some. I'm checking my email right now, see if I have some here. Okay, this is a good one. Can talk a little bit about the mentorship sessions, how they work. Yeah, sure, no problem. So the mentorship sessions is like, you get 1 hour per week together with your mentor. And again, as I said before, we want people to use the Q&A forum to get rid of all their error messages, and then come to the mentorship sessions prepared. And we train you for that with a list of questions that you have. Like, these are usually bigger overview questions, but then also like, with something that we should do in a mentorship session. We know what we need to do, but oftentimes students come and like, what I really want to do is like, you know, build something on top of my Yelp clone. Like, you know, can I run some analytics here? So like Pete, one of our students, he was really interested in getting on his horse race track finder. He actually wanted to have some analytics on it to predict which horse is going to win, or at least give people an understanding, okay, these 5 horses are running today. These are the track records on that kind of condition with the weather, on this kind of track. I hope I got that all right. I don't know too much about horse racing yet, but I'm getting a lot better. But those are the things that he wanted to build. So that's what we do in the mentorship sessions. We built those additional features because his goal was to launch an application on his own and not land a job. So he already had a job in a technical field, right? And then, oh, here's another good question. When can I start? Like, what is the application process, right? So generally, we start new students every Monday. Right now, we're pretty booked until the end of October. So right now, we're looking at beginning of November for new students to start. Usually, how does this work? How can I sign up? You have to, 2 things. I'm going to talk to every single student. I want to hear precisely what your goal is. I want to know where you want to be, and I also want to know what your coding background is, right? The reason I asked it is twofold. If you don't have any coding background, it's kind of like the same analogy of like, you know, you want to become a doctor and you apply to medical school, but you don't know if you actually like to see blood. And if you're going to be a doctor, you see a lot of blood. So same with your web developer. You need to know if you like and enjoy coding before telling me, hey, I want to have a job as a web developer because I heard I can play a lot of ping pong and foosball there. That's not what it's about. I want you guys to come and actually know that you understand code. So if you've never coded before, just email me. You have my email. I give you some resources that are really good where you can actually figure out, do I like this? Yes, no. And then I also want to see some code that you wrote, right? If you already done some tutorials, Team Treehouse, Code Academy, I want to see something that you push live on the internet. I want to see some code, anything. That kind of gives me a good understanding of where you are in your level of coding proficiency. And then we can schedule the mentorship sessions, right? We can figure out your goal precisely, and we can know what we need to give you, what's still missing so you can reach your goal. So that's really important to me. So it's usually an interview with me, and there's a code challenge as well. figuring out if you really have the understanding and you know what you want to get out of this. So yeah, work on your coding goals tonight if you need to know, like, how do I set up my coding goals for bootcamp? We on our website on theFirehoseProject.com, there's the coding bootcamp guide, our definitive guide. Go through that. That will specify all the things you need to know before you actually should go into bootcamp and understand how the different in-person online bootcamps work. So definitely take a minute and look through that. All right. Looking through it again. Let me check if I got some emails, questions. I think those are all. I didn't get any other questions. So you guys, half hour is about over. I'm pretty stoked. Again, Marco from the Firehose Project here. If you have any questions, email me. You should have all gotten the email. If you're watching this later in the day, just email me then and ask me some questions, and I'm more than happy to help you guys out and figure out the next steps in your coding journey. Again, take it easy, stay awesome. This was me from Germany this time, and I'll see you back in Boston next week. Take it easy.